The city of Cuenca, in full, Santa Ana de los Cuatro Ríos de Cuenca, is the capital of the Azuay province. It is widely regarded as the most European city in the country of Ecuador due to its highly 16th and 17th century era Spanish colonial architecture, resembling to cities and architecture throughout Spain. The city of Cuenca is located in the highlands of Ecuador at about 2,500 meters above sea level, with an urban population of approximately 400,000 rising to 700,000 inhabitants in the larger metro area. The center of the city is listed as a UNESCO World Heritage Trust site due to its many historical buildings. Cuenca is well known for its stunning architecture, tourist attractions, hotels and night activities. History. First inhabitants. According to studies and archaeological discoveries, the origins of the first inhabitants go back to the year 8060 BC in the cave of Chopsy. They were hunters, hunting everything the Paramo offered them, and nomads, following the animals and seasons. The culture is represented by tools such as arrows and spears, which have been found throughout the Andean Valley. The culture was most present about 5585 BC. Later, the early indigenous people used the stable climate, fertile soil and abundant water to develop agriculture. They grew potatoes, medico, choco, squash and quinoa. They also domesticated animals such as cuys and camelids, llamas and alpacas. The technology was also advanced. For example, they started creating ceramics. In fact, ceramics constitute the greatest number of artifacts which archaeologists use to study the culture. The period from 5000 BCE to 2000 BCE is not represented well in the archaeological record. Beginning around 2000 BCE, the people developed a more highly organized society, demonstrating delegated responsibilities, such as the managing of water and control of plagues. People were specialized as administrative and religious authorities. This occurred during the periods of Shola Bamba, Huayco, Pirinjai, Monjes, Putucio, Huincarcacho and Jubones. For then until 500 AD began the periods of Tacal-Sharp III and the Canary people, who were absorbed into the Incas in the 15th century. Pre-Columbian society. Cuenca was originally a Canary settlement called Guapondleg. Archaeologists believe Cuenca was founded around 500 AD. Guapondleg translates into "land as big as heaven." Less than half a century before the conquistadors landed, the Incas, after a bitter struggle, conquered the Canary and occupied Guapondleg and the surrounding area. Though the Incas replaced the Canary architecture with their own, they did not suppress the Canary of their impressive achievements in astronomy and agriculture. As was customary for the Incas, they absorbed useful achievements into the culture. They renamed the city Tomebamba. The city became known as the Second Cuscus, a regional capital. After the defeat of the Canary, the Inca commander, Tupac Yupanqui, ordered the construction of a grand city to be called Pumapungo, the door of the Puma. Its magnificence was said to have rivaled that of the Inca capital of Cuzco. Indians told stories to the Spanish chroniclers of golden temples and other such wonders, but by the time the Spaniards found the legendary city, all that remained were ruins. They wondered what happened to the fabled splendor and riches of the second Inca capital. After having been abandoned by the Canary and then the Incas, Tomebamba was sparsely populated until the 1550s. Tomebamba is considered a candidate for the mythical city of gold which the Spanish called El Dorado. The Spanish thought El Dorado was burned by the inhabitants after they heard of the Spanish conquests. Tomebamba's destruction by its inhabitants prior to the arrival of the Spanish suggests it may have been what the Spanish called El Dorado. Spanish settlement. The Spanish settlement of Cuenca was founded on April 12, 1557 by the explorer Gil Ramirez Dávalos. Andrea Hurtado de Mendoza, then Viceroy of Peru, had commissioned the founding and ordered the city named after his hometown of Cuenca, Spain. It was founded decades after other major Spanish settlements in the region, such as Quito, Guayaquil, and Loja. Cuenca's population and importance grew steadily during the colonial era. It reached the peak of its importance in the first years of Ecuador's independence. Cuenca achieved its independence on November 3, 1820. It became the capital of one of the three provinces that made up the nascent republic. The other two capitals were Guayaquil and Quito. Population. As per the last INEC estimate for 2015, the population of the Cuenca canton was 580,000 inhabitants, of which 400,000 constitute the urban population. The economic development is based on industry and agricultural development. Cuenca metropolitan area includes the cities of Azuay, Biblian and Delig in the Cana province and the cities of Paut and Gualaceo in the Azuay province with a population of 730,000 inhabitants. However, Cuenca's influence in the cultural, economic and educational areas extends to all the remaining cities 50 miles around. Geography and location. Cuenca, capital of the province of Azuay, is located in the Sierra of the Andes in the austro-southern region of Ecuador. It is approximately 9 hours south of Quito and 4 hours east of Guayaquil. The city ranges from 2,350 to 2,550 meters above sea level. The dominant features of the city's geography are also the source of its name in Spanish, the four rivers of Cuenca. These rivers are the Tomebamba, Janunjai, Taki and Moshongra in order of importance. The first three of these rivers originate in the Paramo of Parque National Cafés to the west of the city. These four rivers are part of the Amazon River watershed. Cuenca is surrounded by mountains on all sides, with passes to the west, south and east. Parishes. Cuenca Canton contains the following parishes: Baños, Chaucha, Checa, Chiquintid, Cuenca, Cumba, Clasao, Moleturo, Nulti, Octavio Cordero Palacios, Paca, Quingio, Ricarte, San Joaquin, Santa Ana, Siasi, Sidque, Sinanjai, Taki, Turi, Vale, Victoria del Portete. Climate. Cuenca features a subtropical highland climate under the Köppen climate classification. Like the rest of the Ecuadorian Andes, Cuenca enjoys a mild climate year-round. Days are generally warm and nights are cool enough that sweaters and jackets are usually desired. The average daily temperature is 14.7 degrees Celsius. There are two seasons, rainy and dry. The dry season, with some variation, falls between June and December. The rainy season, which is characterized by bright sunny mornings and afternoon showers, falls between January and May. The heaviest rains come in the invierno of March, April and May. Education. Universities. The first university in the city was established in 1867 and is the Universidad de Cuenca. It is considered the third oldest university of the country, right after the Universidad Central del Ecuador and the Universidad Nacional de Loja. Ever since, the city has been growing and more universities were created with new careers. This led to the declaration of Cuenca as the City of Universities by the National Assembly of Ecuador on January 4, 2011. The city has the following universities: Universidad de Cuenca, Universidad Politécnica Salesiana, Universidad del Azuay, Universidad Católica de Cuenca. The first three of B category and the last one is D category. This was stated by the Council for Evaluation, Validation and Assurance of the Quality in Superior Education of Ecuador. Primary and secondary schools, international schools, École Franco-Equatoriana Joseph de Usu, Colegio El Monstiela. Main sites. Most tourists visit the historic area, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, between the river Tomebamba and the street Gran Colombia to the north, General Torres to the west, and Hermano Miguel to the east. This area's compactness, grid-like layout, and numerous readily identifiable monuments make it easy to navigate. Outside this area the city can be confusing, as there are dozens of narrow colonial streets with similar buildings. Major fiestas of Cuenca come at the time of the Massive Children, that is carried out the day of the arrival of kings, or in the commemoration of the independence of the city, during which processions, cultural acts and dances are organized. The nearby Cano Plantation features the biggest Inca ruins in Ecuador. Landmarks: an old cathedral, built in 1557. The edifice eventually became too small for the town's attendance. In 1880, a new cathedral was built as the replacement. The old cathedral, no longer consecrated, has been restored and used as a museum. New cathedral. Its hours are truncated due to a calculation error of the architect. Had it been constructed as planned, the foundation would not bear the weight of the full towers. In spite of the architect's immeasurable mistake, the new Cathedral of Cuenca, completed in 1885, is a monumental work of faith, a combination of Romanesque revival and neo-Gothic in style. The church's blue and white domes have become a symbol for the city. Its facade is made of alabaster and local marble, while the floor of the nave is covered with pink marble, brought from Carrara. At its inauguration, the newly constructed cathedral could accommodate 9,000 out of Cuenca's 10,000 inhabitants at the time. Parque Abdon Calderon. It is located in the center of Cuenca between the old and new cathedrals. On the park benches, people meet to converse and absorb its tranquility. The municipal offices are located nearby. Monastery of El Carmen de Asunción. In the atrium, a colorful flower market supplements the beauty of the church, which was founded in 1682. A sculpted stone facade and a golden pulpit make the church very attractive. Monastery and Museum of La Concepción, with 17th-century tombs and a complete collection of religious art. House of the Ecuadorian Culture. Municipal Museum Remigio Crespo Toral. Museum of the Central Bank. Museum of the Aboriginal Cultures. Church of Santo Domingo, San Blas. Torre the Mirador. Ruinas de Todos los Santos. In this old place, 4 niches of Inca origin exist. The form is trapezoidal and they are built of stone. There are also remains of a colonial mill. Surroundings: Moleturo, a vast rural area situated in Ecuador's southern Andes, and composed of several little villages. The center of the area is located at 1.5 hours of distance in car from the nearest bigger city. In fact, this distance is very little compared to 10 years ago, when there was no road for cars and it took people 3 days of mule riding to get to Cuenca. In spite of the advantages, the road had also very negative impacts on the ecological system, which is still very important for people's daily survival. Chima, located near Cuenca, is a hiking hotspot for southern Ecuador. Chima is located at the base of 2 beautiful green mountains at 8,800 feet. Hikes for all skill levels are available, including a 3-day hike from the peaks of the Andes Mountains down into the lush tropical rainforest of the Amazon basin. Gualaceo, Cordoleg, less than 50 kilometers from Cuenca. It is a town of Canary origin, known for its weavers, embroiderers and potters. In the same area there is a stone corridor in snake form, built in pre-Inca time, known for gold and silversmiths and local jewelry. El Cafaz, a national park where the rivers, streams, and lagoons seem to unite to create a temple of nature, in which the altitude varies from 3,500 to 4,200 meters above sea level. It is a place for bird watchers and trout fishermen. Azogues, the capital of Cana province, 29 kilometers from Cuenca. In this city of colonial atmosphere, one of the highlights is San Francisco's convent, built on the summit of a huaca of the pre-Hispanic residents. Cana Plantation, with a colorful market and the nearby ruins of Ingapirca. Cana Plantation is located 65 kilometers from Cuenca, and it is usually the starting point for the trips to the famous ruins that, according to the experts, were used to control the native Canaris. Stores, bathrooms, a tambo for the Inca, a temple dedicated to the sun. They're part of Ingapirca that was built in the 15th century by orders of Huayna Capac. Culture. Festivities. One of the festivities celebrated in Cuenca and in other parts of Ecuador is El Carnaval. This is celebrated 3 days prior to Ash Wednesday. Families get together to celebrate what started as a pagan ritual. Now it is celebrated by wetting friends and random people with water balloons and spraying carioca, a non-staining foam. Transport. Bus station. Cuenca's interprovincial bus station, called the Terminal Terrestre as it is in most cities, is well organized and clean. It is located on Avenida España in the northeastern corner of the city, a 20-minute walk or a brief taxi ride from the historic center. Also, many city buses provide frequent service as indicated by the Terminal Terrestre placard on the windshield. A guide to using the city buses, maps of the routes and an online trip planner can be found at Cuenca Transit. Buses arrive and depart throughout the day. Service is available to major cities, such as Guayaquil and Quito, and also to nearby cities such as Loja, Riobamba, or Machala. The distance to Guayaquil is 243 kilometers. And the bus takes nearly 4 hours on the highway Duran-Pto. Incamoleturo, a scenic ride through the Cafaz National Park. Quito is 497 kilometers from Cuenca, and the trip takes around 10 hours on the road Pan-American Highway. Many prefer to travel by bus at night. Those who choose to travel overnight should exercise caution due to reported bus hijacks which have resulted in armed robbery. The airport, named Aeropuerto Mariscal Lamar, is located due east of the Terminal Terrestre on Avenida España. It's a 5-minute walk from the bus station. 4 airlines currently serve Cuenca: Aerogal, LAN Ecuador, and Tame Fly to Quito daily, while Linea Aérea Cuencana and Tame Fly to Guayaquil. This is Ecuador's 3rd busiest airport. Over 1,400,000 passengers a year pass through its gates. International relations. Twin towns. Sister cities. Cuenca is twinned with Rosario, Argentina,